Hi, I'm Vince Ferragamo.
And I'm Jackie Slater.
We want to invite you to join us each and every week on our show, OnPoint live stream.
We're going to give you the inside scoop.
Don't miss it. Hey, welcome to another edition of OnPoint live stream. This is week 14. I'm Vince Ferragamo, former Los Angeles Rams Super Bowl quarterback. And alongside is my good friend and former teammate, 20-year Los Angeles Ram legend and Hall of Famer, Jackie Slater. Jackie?
Good to be out here, man.
That's great, isn't it?
Great
Jackie,
day. Great day for football, huh?
We got to talk about today's games, Jackie. The games
know,
today was a wild divisional foes, a lot of games, Jackie, that were played. Let's talk first about that darn Eagles game. I mean, that looks like the team to beat. I mean, they're a nasty team, Jackie. What do you think?
It really is amazing when you think about it. Nobody really thought much of Jalen Hurts to start the season. They thought, okay, well, this guy, he's another one of those take off and run guys after he goes through his first progression. Yeah. But Jalen Hurts, Vince, this guy has been coached by some of the very best coaches in the national football in the country. This guy's been coached by Lane Kiffin. He's been coached by Lincoln Riley, who just had a Heisman Trophy winner, and Caleb Williams from USC here.
Nick Saban.
He's been coached by Nick Saban. He's been coached by Brian Daboll, the head coach of the New York Giants. The thing that he hasn't had over the last 5 years, up until the last 2 years now, is continuity. He's been working with Steichen now for 2 years, and this guy's a quick learner and a quick process guy, and he has been able to bring a little bit of all of what he has experienced to the table, and it's showing. This guy plays with great, calm demeanor, Vince, and you know what that means when a quarterback in the huddle with as limited amount of experience as this guy's had. Leads the way he does. It just runs through the whole team, makes them special, makes them turn their effort up.
Nothing really seems to bother him, Jackie. I know with his great offensive line, do you think Jason Kelce could probably be up for an MVP award this year?
Absolutely.
I don't know. That's probably one of the best offensive lines I've seen since you guys played.
It really is one of the best. And you know what I like about them is that they do a good job of having balance, man. You can't go there and say Jalen Hurts is going to going to be throwing the football all over the place, because actually on his touchdown today, that was 47 gap. 47 gap.
And he ran it.
Keep.
Yeah.
And I saw one other quarterback when we started talking about Buffalo scored on the same play today. Scored on the same play.
Was that
Josh Allen scored on the exact same play. So he's a tough guy. He's a smart guy, and he's coming into his own as a leader, and all the people around him are recognizing that.
And I thought the Giants would played much better today, Jackie, but they didn't, because the season was riding on this game. This was another divisional game they had to win, and they didn't win. They started off the season hot, but they've cooled as of late, and so I think they're kind of on the outside looking in. So
good teams will make you cool, Vince.
Well, how about the team that wasn't so good last year that's playing lights out football right now is the Detroit Lions, Jackie. They've won 5 out of their last 6 games.
And you picked them, and I didn't. I for sure.
Over Minnesota.
Absolutely. I thought for sure. But when you think about it, the Minnesota Vikings, Vince, they've had a problem now for about the last month of games that they've played. They are giving up an unbelievable amount of yardage in the air. I don't know what's going on with their pass defense. They don't play a whole lot of man coverages, Vince. These guys are getting toasted, and you just simply can't win football games that way. And Jared Goff came out today, and he proved why he was the number 1 overall pick his draft year. He was decisive. He made great throws. He was dropping that ball right in on a dime, and it was impressive to watch him be the leader of that football team. Now, did you notice that he had the C on his jersey? That stands for captain.
Oh, yeah.
That stands for captain.
Oh, I like that.
And his teammates respect him and voted him the captain as their leader.
Well, that really makes a big difference, Jackie. And I have a lot of credit has to go to their coaching staff and Dan Campbell. He's revolutionized this team into thinking they can win now. And before, there was always there was a question mark. But, Jared Goff threw for 330 yards today, threw for 3 touchdowns. And I tell you, as a quarterback, I've never seen Jared Goff throw a deep touchdown go route to his left side the way he threw it today.
Yeah, I remember.
And maybe it just took him 8 years to figure it out, but
how to do it.
He threw a beautiful ball, Jackie, and so he's really leading this team. And as you said, he's the captain now. So I mean, that's the team to watch out for. And I mean, Jared Goff is a big reason why. Then you look at teams like Jacksonville Jaguars and the Jags. They win today against the Titans on the road, Jackie, and Doug Peterson is doing a great job with Trevor Lawrence and the rest of this team.
You know, this guy, what is he, 3 years removed from winning the Super Bowl in Philadelphia?
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, was anybody to conclude that he was not a good coach?
No.
This guy's a good coach, and he's got an arsenal of talented young players. I won't even bother anyone to be calling the name. Just look at the roster. It's a star-studded group of recent draft picks that they have accumulated there. And the reason why I didn't go with them today, Vince, is because of the inexperience of these guys. I felt like it was going to take them some time, and that the team that they were playing was more seasoned and that they would struggle. That was not the case. This team is getting better and better every single week. And I wouldn't be surprised, what their record could end up being as they go along.
Titans have lost 3 in a row, Jackie, so they're kind of hitting a low side of their season, but they better resurrect something quick. But, they still lead the AFC South. So we'll have to wait and see if they're going to have to play better to go far in the playoffs. And what about the Dallas Cowboys, Jackie? They had a scare today. They played Houston Texans.
The cardiac,
oh my goodness.
The cardiac Cowboys, we should call them today, huh?
Tony Pollard turned it out again. He scored touchdowns.
He's special, isn't he?
But Dak Prescott did a good job coming from behind late in the game, and they moved the ball and they give to Ezekiel Elliott to score that winning touchdown. And they're poised. As we said, we picked Dallas, but we didn't think it was going to be that close.
No, I certainly didn't. With Zach, but one of the things that's happening in Dallas is that they are growing a young and fairly inexperienced offensive line. They've had the starting stalwart left tackle out for a number of games now, maybe even over half the season, and they've had to plug young people in there. And these guys are starting to grow. Mm-hmm. They're starting to come into their own. One of the things that really helps young offensive linemen in particular, Vince, grow and mature is the realization that they're surrounded by some very, very highly skilled and talented skill guys like the quarterback, the receivers, the running backs. When they walk in that huddle and they look in the eyes of Dak Prescott and Zeke Elliott, they got to be thinking, hey, I can't let these guys down. Right. These are some of the best in the country. So that's happening too, and I think that's helping Dallas as they go along.
Well, they do look much stronger up front, Jackie. They're blocking, their schemes are all better designed this year. They're moving the football, but defensively, they're just playing lights out football. And when you have
they sputtered a bit, they sputtered a bit today.
Well, that's going to happen once in a while, Jackie. Then you have to have the offense just pick up the slack. But they've been able to put it all together, and they just seem to be the team to beat. They're going to them in Philadelphia. It's going to be
out of that division very easily. We could see the NFC representative for the Super Bowl this year.
And the last game we'll talk about real quick, Jackie, is the Cleveland game. And they played Cincinnati. I picked Cincinnati. I think so did you. And Joe Burrow and that team is they're playing lights out. But Deshaun Watson, I don't really think he's ready to play yet, Jackie. He's thrust in the lineup. Why? Is he thrust in the lineup because of his salary, of what he's earning?
I can't. You say you don't think he's ready to play. What in the world? The guy hadn't played in a game in all of the season up until last week. Well, what did you expect? I don't care how much throwing he had been doing. I don't care how much communication he was having with his receivers. Mm-hmm. He couldn't throw to them. So this guy was coming in, late in a lot of different areas, late in preparation, late in just getting this, the system down in which he's got to be operating and comfortable. Right. And that changes all the time for individuals. I found that out. So I wasn't expecting him to show up and show out today at all, Vince.
Well, you know what, Jackie, it's just, Kobe Brissett was doing such a good job leading this team, and everybody was responding to that team. And they bring Deshaun Watson back. They should have gave him a little bit more time and practice and just getting ready to play, but they thrust him right in the lineup, and maybe it was a little too soon. But obviously that team is probably going to be far away from the playoffs at this point. I don't think, they're reeling on offense, and they lose to a great Cincinnati. And, talking about the Bengals, though, Jackie, and Joe Burrow, and you look at all the young quarterbacks today. He threw a ball today, Jackie, that I can tell you as a quarterback, his delivery, his timing, and his accuracy, Jackie, when Jamar Chase was running his route, he turned around, Jackie, in the end zone, and the ball was right in his hip.
Right in his hip.
Bam. That's the he threw it.
You like that, don't you?
Oh
man?
my goodness! And was it accurate? And the release, the point, and it was just picture perfect. Jackie, it's perfection.
Nothing like
I don't think I've seen another play like that this year. That's one of the highlights.
There's nothing I can tell you're excited about it, Vance,
Yeah.
and you got to show it to me on the rewind. But there's something about watching a guy execute a play, and you know the difficulty of it, like you're saying there.
Yeah.
And I saw a couple of plays like that today that were where I saw some offensive linemen moving, pulling and changing direction, inserting into the line of scrimmage, and putting big wood on guys and just flattening them, and then ball carrier went right by. Just one of the most beautiful things that you could ever want to see as an offensive lineman. So we got some great football being played by some teams that are seriously making some steps toward the playoffs. So it's going to be fun as we go along and watch these teams continue to get better.
Right. And then we see so many great players, Jackie, and I'm sure you have your own opinions of great offensive linemen. We might have to ask you that question, but in quarterbacks, young quarterbacks, you have so many good young quarterbacks. But as you look at them all, it's like, do you have a favorite? And there's so many good ones.
Oh, there's a lot of good ones.
It's hard to figure. You have
a lot of good
Herbert with the Chargers. You got Joe Burrow. You've got now Hurts is playing so good as a young quarterback, and I love the way he's so comfortable in his offense, and he's so, he's consistent all the time. And there's nothing that can throw at him that's going to confuse him or rattle him. He doesn't get rattled.
The guy has been through so much, man.
You got Josh Allen, and these guys are just playing like that. So I don't know. If I had to pick one, I'd probably have to pick two or three because it's hard. And I don't know about tackles, but who do you like tackles? I mean, you see big offensive linemen.
There are a lot of really good offensive linemen playing. I like, actually, one of the guys that I liked and I was expecting big things from this year was Joe Noteboom at the Rams. When they brought him in, he was a tackle in college. They brought him in and they wanted to get his feet wet right away, kind of like the Baltimore Ravens did with Hall of Famer Jonathan Ogden. They threw him right in there at left guard. And then,
wasn't he a tackle?
Yeah, he was a tackle.
Yeah.
And Jonathan Ogden is a Hall of Fame left tackle.
Right.
But he started his career at left guard.
Oh, I didn't know
he
that.
played. Oh yeah, his first season, his first snap in the National Football League was at left guard, and he played that his entire rookie season. And that's kind of what
from UCLA, right, Jack?
Yes, and that's kind of what was going on with Joe Noteboom up until he got hurt, and that kind of derailed him. So this was supposed to be a kind of bounce back year, and then he had that serious injury, ruptured that Achilles, and hopefully he's going to be. I've seen guys come back from that lately. Back in our day, Vince, if you got that injury, it was curtains. Your career was pretty much over. But nowadays, with some of the things they're doing medically, they can get him back. So I'm looking forward to seeing him back on the field. Also, these two young tackles over here at the Chargers, and as we sit here and watch this game, Salyer,
Slater, isn't there one of them? Slater.
One of them's name is Slater.
He's not related.
Not related to me, but he ruptured his bicep tendon, so he's out for the year. But this is his second year, and he went to the Pro Bowl, was All Pro as a rookie, and was expecting great things from it, and then he get hurt. But the guy who they drafted out of Georgia, Salyer, is playing just as well, Vince. Yeah. So I don't know what's going on right now with the Chargers as they go and pick offensive linemen, but the last couple of years they've made some dang good decisions with the personnel, and that's just a couple of young guys that are local guys that I've been paying real close attention to.
Well, that's what they did to Joe Burrow this year, Jackie. They went in and invested in the offensive line to protect the quarterback. I think the Chargers are in the same boat because they have to invest to protect their great quarterback. And so, as we talk about this game, Jackie, we got a lot more to talk about. You mentioned the Rams. We're going to have to talk about the Rams' great win on Thursday night.
How about that? Huh? Could you believe that?
Coming
Vince,
from behind
Vince, could you have done that?
No, from the 2-yard line? I don't know.
You could have done it, Vince. Don't tell me that. Hey, you could have done that.
With only 2 days of preparation, we'll have to talk more about that later.
We'll talk about it.
But when we come back, so stay with us. We'll talk more about the Rams, and we'll get caught up on the Charger game tonight. What's going on? They lead 3-0. Welcome back to OnPoint Live. Vince and Jackie here. We're just watching the Charger game, Jackie, with the Miami Dolphins. They just went up by 10 points, Jack. Beautiful pass to Mike
Unbelievable.
Williams.
And Mike Williams, I expected him to be a little bit,
tentative.
A little rusty.
Yeah,
That's a little rusty.
No way.
But this guy's got a reputation for doing exactly what he does here, and that is high pointing the ball, getting up there, using great hands, getting his feet down. I mean, It's good to have him back. That was a sweet play right there.
He's got a big range, Jack. He's a tall receiver, okay, and he can jump, and he's made big play after big play throughout his career with the Chargers. And now look at him making a great play, and they're rolling the quarterback out, as we talked about, Jackie. Movement is so important, I think, for the Chargers, and we've been talking about it all year.
Absolutely.
And I think Joe Lombardi is really starting to see the benefits of that. Don't you think?
Yes.
And now he's getting Austin Eckler in the mood. He's running the ball better. Have a nice sweep play that they're using, Jackie.
And Vince, the interesting thing about it, when I watched a couple of his movement plays, well, he was not rolling out looking to run with the football.
No.
They were doing
moving the pocket.
Moving the pocket.
Correct.
And he was looking for receivers down the field, and they were looking hard, and the ball came out and plays were made. So Joe Lombardi is doing a fantastic job with this group. And he, in a way, Vince, he knows that he had to do this. He had to do this because his offensive line has been dinged up. They've been beat up. They lost their leadership, and Corey Stinger early on in the season. I think he's back now. So Corey Lindsey. And so they need to do these different things, move the pocket around so that these guys don't have to just sit there and have defensive linemen tee off on them and to a stationary target in the pocket. So that's impressive to see a coach do that.
And the other thing that it enables an offense to do, Jackie, when you move the pocket like that, the receivers buy more time to run their routes downfield. So they have more time to get open. Not everything is so critical in timing that now things can open up. And then if you get in a bind, you can move even more. And then then you can break your routes down and move into a position to receive it. So, I mean, it's wonderful to be able to incorporate that. And like you said, if you have a really strong running attack, then your play action pass is even more effective. The Chargers, instead of being able to play action pass as much because of the lack of a running attack, they have to move the pocket.
Yes.
You can't stay in the pocket the whole time because then you're just confining the quarterback. And so, talking about moving quarterbacks around, what about Baker Mayfield coming to last Thursday night, Jackie? Now, did the Rams win this game or did the Raiders blow it? I mean, come on, Jackie.
Well, the coverage, I did look at the coverage, and I didn't think it was very grand relative to my understanding of coverage. Didn't look like the best, but I think all of that we have to overlook, Vince, in light of what actually happened. What actually happened, Vince, is a guy came from another team
in 2 days.
In 2 days, they put him in the ball game. By the way, they're talking about starting him the remainder of the season.
You have to.
But in 2 days, Vince, this guy comes in and he engineers the longest drive with the least amount of time in the last 30, 40 years. Unbelievable.
Let me stop you. You said he did that in 2 days. They opened up the entire playbook, to my understanding. They did, Jackie. Is that,
I can't imagine that.
I
can't imagine that. We've been watching Sean McVay for the last 5 years.
But
how can you?
They were running everything.
I don't think
he was holding anything.
Vince, he didn't run one. He didn't run one fly sweep. I didn't see that.
Well, they have it in the system. That's pretty easy for a quarterback.
Yeah, but I mean,
taught my 8-year-old grandson to run a fly sweep. They can run at 8 years old. He can do that. But let me ask you a question: is it the coaching, or is it a desperation to hang on for the quarterback? Because Baker's been drafted #1 pick, and he went back to Cleveland. Then he got traded to Carolina, and then he got released, Jackie. So is this his last stop? So that he wants to hold on. He wants to show everybody I still belong.
Did you hear what he said?
What?
Did you hear what he said in the locker room after the game?
What's that?
It was a little bit odd, a little bit awkward.
Yeah.
But what he said is, "I'm home."
Home.
Now I don't know
Is
what
he
made
from
it.
California.
No, he's actually born in Texas.
Oh, okay.
But he said, "I'm home," and I don't know.
He might have felt like he was.
It might have been an indirect reference to the fact that he's with a guy who's smart, who understands what his strengths are that he can bring to the table, and
true.
knows how to put him in a position to be the Baker Mayfield that won the Heisman Trophy. That's what I think he was saying.
Well, I mean, Sean McVay is smart enough to put him in position to be successful. That's
doubt.
the key of a coach, any coach at any position. So I think he's really opening up the offense for him specifically for what he does good. And I think it fits right into Sean's philosophy, Jackie, of coaching, because he loves the rollout. He loves the play action.
Absolutely.
The
moving the pocket.
Moving a lot. And but when I looked at that game, I looked at the Raiders and I see Derek Carr throwing an interception, Jackie, when they could have got points. He threw it just haphazardly down the field. It was intercepted. I mean, and then they had a 3rd and 1. Jackie, a lot of great coaching minds. Still, it takes experience. As we knew, we spent a whole full day in practice each week on short yardage and goal line.
Absolutely.
Okay. They ran Devontae Adams in the backfield as a wide receiver, and they put Josh Jacobs as up back. And they tried to spin and they thought they were going to fake the sweep with Devontae Adams. That's not going to fool anyone.
No.
And they got stuffed at the line of scrimmage. The Rams stuffed them, Jackie. The Rams go ahead and they're down by 13 points with 5 minutes to go, and they win the game.
It was a bit.
I think the Raiders. I think the Raiders. And then
so your argument is that the Raiders blew it.
They blew it.
More so than the Rams.
If they would have been up 3 scores, Jack, there's no way. Even as good as Baker Mayfield played at the end, he couldn't have came back. Now the week before that, Tampa Bay played New Orleans. Both of those 2 head coaches were trying to lose the game. He was up 16-3, Jackie.
Wait a minute.
With 5 minutes to go
the
in the
goal
game.
Is to win the game.
They couldn't run the ball and use the time. Your time is your most valuable key. At the end of a game for a quarterback, they were throwing the ball incomplete pass. It stops the clock.
Talking about
Tom Brady came back. I mean, come on. Oh, no.
Well, we just saw Tyreek Hill, the cheetah, get loose on the reverse, Vince.
Oh, he ran a reverse.
There was no one. It seems like every step he took, the other people were taking one step. He take one step and everybody else take a half step.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just his speed was on full display right there. It's unbelievable.
Well, they say speed kills.
You know another thing about these 2 receivers over here at Miami, Vince? Waddle
and Tyreek Hill.
Yeah. These 2 receivers are the number 2 receivers in the National Football League in total yardage when they catch a ball over the middle of the field.
Now that's amazing because you think
Tyreek Hill is number 1 and Waddle is number 2. So they throw the football. They do a fantastic job.
That was a fumble, Jackie.
That was a fumble. It looked like a reverse handoff.
Well, it looked like it, but he took the ball and ran to open space.
Is that right?
And Tyreek, can you believe that? That's just a heads-up play, Jack.
Wow.
And they scored a touchdown. Now, when you sit and look and try to analyze and how are you going to coach this up? I mean, you just have to be alert. You have to be alert and alert all the time.
I hope they run that back because, they're just showing the end of it. I didn't see it. It looked like a handoff.
No, there was a fumble. It was a fumble. And
well,
it looked like the Chargers
why was he
were
in the area?
Recover.
Why was he in the area?
Because he was blocking at the line of scrimmage and saw the ball. And
why do you have a 185-pound guy blocking at the line of scrimmage?
Because he was bump and run coverage.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I mean, that's what happened.
But those 2 guys, we had to give them a lot of credit. And Tua and their head coach, give him some credit as well. He's doing a great job of designing plays to make those 2 guys number 1 and number 2 in the National Football League in yardage over the middle of the field when the ball is thrown to them. That's pretty special.
It really is, Jackie. So and the other thing about the Rams, I mean, we're going to probably get a caller in here in a minute here. He's probably going to want to talk about the Ram game, but you talk about the quarterback coaches and the coaches that Sean McVay has had on his staff. And a lot of them have left over the last few years. After winning the Super Bowl, the offensive coordinator goes to another, becomes head coach down in Green Bay. The next year, he comes head coach in Cincinnati.
Right.
Now they change again, and now he's a Minnesota head coach. There's like 3 every year they have. Why did the Rams lose their coaching staff? Each and every year.
I don't know, Vince, that it's a loss, and you have to consider the loss. And I really do believe now, as long as I've been watching the game in the National Football League, football for coaches is a game of opportunity. It's a game of opportunity, and every single individual worth his salty sweat that's coaching the NFL wants to move to that next level. That next level usually brings more prominence, more money, more opportunity for them to, use their influence.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of these guys, that are coaching the National Football League are very opinionated people with some unique thoughts about how to play the game and how to coach the game. And so from my experience, all these guys want to go up. So that's going to happen in particular, Vince, when you have a really good team and you're having success. People are going to come and just assume that everybody is on the same page,
right?
But not necessarily.
Well, I think we have the segment. Now we have a call coming in, Jackie.
Oh, is that right?
Let's find out who the caller is. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, who is this?
Oh, it's Dave.
Hey, Dave. Crazy Dave again. Are you calling back?
I don't know how I get through every week that I do.
Well, you must be listening every week, Dave. I can tell you.
100%.
The lines are not that congested right now, Dave.
Great. I thought I was actually having to work to get to this, so this is all good.
It is.
I'm sure Dave's got a question.
What's on your mind, Dave? Dave, what is on your mind?
It's not a question. It is 2 words that I want your opinion on.
Okay.
The first word is Baker. The second word is Mayfield.
Well, that's a good question, Dave. We're all trying to figure that. Jackie and I were just talking about that. When you can take the longest drive in probably NFL history, or at least in the last 40 years, and march 98 yards for a winning score.
Oh my gosh,
that's pretty awesome.
And
with not much time left.
And you've only been there as the quarterback for 2 days.
2 days. You don't know what's. But let me tell you something. And I know everybody's like, oh, well, there was this penalty and there was that penalty. There was this penalty. There was that penalty. He still has got to complete those passes.
Absolutely.
And that touchdown pass was magical. I mean, it really was.
It was a great read on his part, Dave. As a quarterback, you drop back. You had the diagonal coming in front of him with Van Jefferson. And then I think who caught the winning touchdown? Was it Van Jefferson?
Yes.
Okay. And he had another receiver coming in across the crossing. And the safety, instead of playing his cover 2 deep corner or half of the field, he came up to cover the crossing route, which was a deep diagonal route, and then Baker read it beautifully and threw the ball up for a great pass in the end zone, and it was completed for the touchdown. So it was a great play all around. Great execution, great call, great timing.
So I think, and I know I think Vince disagrees with me, but I think that the moment I watched Sean McVay's face, they're not going. They're obviously not going. They're not going postseason, but this could change just their season. I think they can win all their games, because I just think that there's a different vibe now.
Absolutely. And I noticed, right. Dave, I noticed what you're saying. The concern that was on Coach McVay's face during the early parts of the game when Wolford was in there. It was obvious in all aspects. But when Baker came in, it seems to have been the relief of some tension that might have been on him, because all of a sudden now it was about, let me put this guy in position to make some plays. Now, if you think about it though, Dave, the first 3-4 passes that he threw, they were in the ground. They were at the receivers, toward the receivers, but they were low. They were not catchable balls, Vince. Did you notice that?
Yes. Correct.
Yes. And as the game went on, he was put in a position
more comfortable.
He was supported by the rushing attack. It gave him an opportunity to do that, gave him an opportunity to move the pocket around. So he's moving around a little bit, and then he settled down in the pocket and threw some concepts, Vince, that I think were like maybe he didn't have to read the whole field. You mentioned about that safety coming down in the middle of the field when he threw a touchdown over there to Van Jefferson.
Right.
That was like a 2-man read, it seemed to me, from the middle to the outside. So I think Sean McVay understood what he had in Baker Mayfield. I think he understood where he was and what he was comfortable with, and he called only those plays, because there were some things that McVay probably would have done had he had the experience of Wolford or Matthew Stafford that he simply didn't do.
Oh, but Jackie, you said this in the beginning. It was 2 days. It was 2 days.
Absolutely.
I mean, I don't remember anybody doing this in 2 days.
Well, no, Dave, but a lot of that was desperation too, Dave. He had to do something. He knew he was going to get a quick opportunity, and it might happen right away. And he's trying to hang on in the league, so that really motivates you personally. I mean, I don't care what position you're going to play, but even quarterback.
I'm kind of biased. I want this guy to succeed anyway.
Oh, sure.
I think now he's in the right town. he's in the right place. I think Baker Mayfield's in the right place.
Did you hear what he said in the post game?
No, what did he say?
In the post game
interview,
they had the cameras in the locker room there, and Baker was all pumped up, geeked up, and then he said, "I'm home." It was a little bit awkward because he just got here, and I'm thinking, okay, well, you've been someplace else before, but it was so it was so genuine. It was so genuine to hear him say that because, Sean McVay shared the story about how he and Baker Mayfield were on a plane, and they had several hours to go. I think they might have been going to the combine or something. And then they had their pleasant, they had their pleasant conversations at the beginning. And then Sean said, he said to him, "Let's talk some ball." So I got to believe that in that conversation that took place on that flight, for how long it was,
right,
both these guys got a feel for each other. And both these guys had a feel for, how they perhaps could work together. That's not unfathomable to me.
Well, Dave thinks that the season is now going to be turned around a little bit for the Rams, at least, Jackie, because their last 4 games, they traveled to Green Bay. Okay, then on Christmas Day, they played Denver. Okay, then the following week, they've got the Chargers, and they end up with Seattle. Those are 4 games.
Winnable games.
Those are winnable games for the Rams. So I think that'll turn the season. I think it'll give them more optimism for next year. Do you know what I'm talking about, Dave?
100%. 100%.
Let's just digress for a moment, and let's just think of what the Rams' situation is at quarterback. Matthew Stafford came here and did a stellar job a year ago. They won the Super Bowl, and on the heels of that, they gave him a 3-year deal, Dennis?
And they renegotiated and they renewed his contract. Yes,
so he's got a new deal, a couple of years. I don't know what it is, but Matthew Stafford is in his 12th, 13th year coming up. He's been around for a while, and he's starting to have some of these nagging injuries. That's not to say that he still can't be special, but Sean McVay just did a contract as well, and Sean McVay has got to be thinking now. Wait a minute. No offense to Mr. Wolford, no offense to the other quarterback, but this guy right here was a first overall pick in the NFL draft. And what would it mean to Sean McVay, if you think about it, what would it mean to him to be able to show everybody what he can do with a talent like Baker Mayfield?
Well, he went to a Super Bowl with another number 1 draft pick, Jackie.
He certainly did. Certainly did.
Possible.
And getting to the Super Bowl at that particular time with that particular guy under those circumstances was special.
Jackie, I've always liked Baker Mayfield. Maybe I like the way he comes off and his personality when he's in the commercials.
A little bit arrogant, bit arrogant.
Yeah, but there's a confident feeling. It's almost like Brock Purdy today. Exactly. He's confident. He's a little not arrogant, but he's confident and he's resourceful. And maybe Baker is along the same lines as he is, but it's just to see him step in just 2 days' notice was quite remarkable.
It really was.
And do what he did.
By the way, guys. Did you guys see what that other first-round draft pick did today against Minnesota?
Yes, I did. Goodness. Yeah, with the Detroit Lions. I told you, I took the Lions.
He was insane.
Yeah, he really was. But let's just deal with this realistically now.
Yeah.
The Minnesota Vikings over the last month has 4 straight weeks they've given up over, I think, something like 400.
They've been lucky to win
over 400 passing yards.
I was just going to ask you, what
lost last week?
Over 400 passing yards they've given up over the last month of games. So, Jared Goff was accurate, Vince, and he played a really good job. And you know what? Jared Goff is a leader, in my opinion, of arguably the toughest football team, out there, and especially in the National Conference. Now, Buffalo, they're a real tough physical team. But this guy has these people playing, when you talk about kicking them in the shins and biting them in the knee, at the very least, you're going to have a tough football team.
A team takes on the philosophy of the coach.
Absolutely.
Okay, and Dan Campbell
but
is a tough guy.
He's also given Detroit hope. Detroit hasn't had hope in so long.
Right, Dave, that's a good point. It really is.
Well, and that's saying a lot. I mean, when you consider that Matthew Stafford was there for all of those years.
Correct.
It's saying a great deal.
Well, would that be something? To see Matt Stafford come to the Rams, win a Super Bowl, and then Jared Goff goes to Detroit and wins the Super Bowl. That would be the first time ever. There's a lot of first times going on.
That's not such a far-fetched idea, by the way, guys.
It really isn't, the way that they're playing right now. They got a lot of playmakers surrounding Jared, too. Guys that catch the ball real well, run good routes. Got an offensive line.
We'll get Dave's idea.
Hey, how about I'm throwing the football to the offensive tackle today?
Who did it?
Detroit.
They did.
They threw,
See, I tell you.
threw a pass to that.
Well, no, they
big-
did a fake. They did a
big
fake
tackle.
on a special teams play too, Jackie. I don't know, was it
Yeah.
a fake field goal or fake?
Yes, they
fake
got
punt?
some. They got some.
They have
got
trickery.
Some,
I love trickery.
some moxie
you know?
they have there.
Yeah. Hey, Dave, question for you, real quick, before we let you go.
Yeah.
What's your feeling on Liam Cohen, who's the offensive coordinator for the Rams now? He just signed on with Kentucky Wildcats to be their offensive coordinator next year. Why do we see so many coaches leaving the Rams? Is there not enough money for all the coaches because of McVay, or is he hard to work with? What's going on there?
Well, I don't know. What's McVay? 36 years old, 37 years old. Maybe that's a problem with that. I don't know. I don't know why you would go to Kentucky. Kentucky continues to be a mediocre program in the SEC, which is fine. The SEC, as we know, is great. But every year you hear, lately with Mark Stoops, you hear about Kentucky. Oh, they're going to do this. This year they were preseason number 7, but every year they continue to be Kentucky. So maybe that's it, Vince. Maybe
that's a basketball school.
Yeah.
Well. This is the thing that jumps out at me about this whole situation with Liam Cohen leaving, Vince. Liam Cohen, a couple of years ago, left and went to Kentucky and was their offensive coordinator then. And then after a year, he had some success there. And after a year, he comes back to the Rams, where he's been the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
So it says something to me about, maybe the relationship. But like I said, Vince, this is the number one thing. The number one thing with coaches is they are ambitious. And they want to reach the heights that they can reach. And I'm sure that has a lot to do with it. But then that was brought to our attention, Vince, when the Cam Akers situation was going on. And you know how professional and how tight-lipped Sean McVay is about things going on that somehow leaks.
Yes.
And he always liked to handle things inside, in-house. Right. He'll always say, we're going to take care of it in-house. Well, when the Cam Akers situation happened, unfortunately, there was a break in Sean McVay's rule. And someone asked Liam Cohen what was the problem with Cam Akers. And instead of him saying, well, we're going to handle this in-house, he said, we need more playmaking from that position. We need more playmaking from that position. Now, that to me was a direct indictment against Cam Akers and his ability to make plays with the plays that they are using.
Exactly.
With the plays that they are using.
You said it. They need to have more diversity with the running game so they can be more productive and have more playmaking ability by their players.
Absolutely, Vince.
So it goes both ways.
Vince, and I'm going to say something, Vince. 2 weeks ago, the Rams rushed for, I think it was 171 yards.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Vince, I saw 2 plays that I had not seen run since Sean McVay has been here. And one of them jumped out at me like I don't know what. You know what it was? It was tackle trap. They took 6'8", 332-pound Rob Havenstein, and they pulled him from right tackle all the way over to the left side of the field to kick out a defensive end and insert the football.
You've never seen that before.
I have never seen tackle trap. And I'm looking for it, Vince, because I used to run tackle trap at the Rams over the years. But that was the first time I saw that play run. And it told me that they're adding some diversity. Someone that's coordinating the running game for the Rams right now are saying, hey, listen, we can't keep running inside zone and outside zone to the right and left and fly sweep. We got to add some other things. We got to make these guys read at the line of scrimmage here a little bit more. I think that's starting to get in. These guys are capable of doing it. I mean, if you can pull a 6'8", 332-pound right tackle from right tackle over to the left tackle to kick out a defensive end, there is no other limits that your offensive line can have when you ask them to do things. You just got to put them in the position to do it and teach them how to do it and trust them to get it done. I think that's really, really key.
I'm glad they're opening up the playbook some or creating new plays, because it's going to definitely be real important moving forward when you look at other teams that are having success, like the 49ers, okay, Jackie, and Philadelphia. Okay, they just run the ball right at you and not afraid to look back. So anyway, Dave, it's great to have you on again today in week 14.
Thanks, Dave.
Join us again if you can. I hope you enjoyed it. Enjoy the holidays, and we'll talk to you soon.
Too. Always fun talking to you guys. I'll talk to you next week.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, do
Take
call
it easy, guys.
Yeah.
We can get him calling next every
Well,
week.
maybe he should be on every week.
Yeah, he said
he's a regular.
He says he's going to call next week.
Okay,
so.
it might have to be the crazy Dave.
What we should do, we should say, hey, let us know early what you're looking for, so we make him look for something. Because he comes up with great questions.
I know it every time. Well, looking at this, we got to get our viewers caught up with the Sunday night live football. Jackie with the Miami playing the Chargers, 10-7 Chargers.
Yeah, you know what?
Chargers, they only got the one touchdown on a fumble recovery by Tyreek Hill, and he ran the distance.
Unbelievable.
Kind of a cheap touchdown.
You know, you got to feel that Brandon Staley is going to do things on both sides of the ball to give him an opportunity to win. Now, you and I were questioning that a little bit when they are on fourth down.
Yeah.
In your own territory, you're going forward and rolling the dice on your personnel, gambling on them. He made a statement to his team when he did it. I believe in you, Keenan Allen. I believe in you guys. I believe in this quarterback. We can make those plays. But he didn't do it all the time, and they came up on the short end of the stick. But this team is going to be energized by the smarts of their head coach. It always happens.
Well, I'll tell you, Jackie. This team is maybe on the move. They have to. It's like show or tell right now. They've got to go in the right direction. They got to win this game tonight and move forward. Get ready for the playoffs. Get a shot. And the only way they can do that is by coming up with the plays their defense is playing. They should be 17-0, but they do have the confidence now looking forward in this game. They're going to be in this game. Hopefully they'll be able to pull it out at the end if you're a Charger fan.
Well, we'll be watching. We'll
watch him. Come back. Join us for the next segment on OnPoint Live with Vince and Jackie. Hang with us. Look at that screen, Jackie. Hey, welcome back to OnPoint live stream with Vince and Jackie. And Jackie, as we finish up our final segment here for this evening, man, this Charger game is awesome.
This guy's amazing, man. He can't weigh 200 pounds.
Screenplay to Austin Eckler.
Austin Eckler cannot weigh 200 pounds, and he is a scoring machine. He's already got at least 12 touchdowns.
But the execution is nicely done with the guards and tackles out in front.
Now the big question is, Vince, this 4th and what? A yard?
Less than.
Do you think the head coach
is going to go for it? He's going to go for it. I know Brandon Staley. He's going to go for it.
He's gone for it in worse situations.
Hey, but Jackie, we have a caller online.
Okay.
I think the caller's AJ. AJ, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
How you doing?
Hello, AJ. How are you?
I'm doing good. I got a question about the Rams.
Okay. Shoot.
So, the offensive talent is pretty depleted right now for the Rams, but I noticed the play calling's a bit different. Do you think that's kind of helped Sean McVay, having the lack of talent, help him open up the playbook a bit more?
That's a good question,
Jackie,
because when you're depleted with resources and you really have to get more creative, I think. But I think you have to still keep it fairly simple, though, AJ, because you're dealing with guys that maybe don't have as much experience, or guys that are coming in as backup kind of players to play. But yes, I have seen him open up the playbook some, because Jackie and I were talking about earlier about some different types of run blocking schemes that they have that we've never seen before. And actually they had over 100 yards rushing last week. So it really helped them in their victory that they had against the Raiders. So we'll have to wait and see if that continues. But that's a great, what do you think, Jack?
Well, it's funny that you would ask that question, AJ, because we had a long conversation about that just a little bit earlier. And I happen to believe, like Vince, they don't have a whole lot of experience in their offensive line. They got a couple of guys that's been there consistently, but they've had to move a lot of people around. And then they've had to go out literally and get guys, who are on other people's practice squads, and then they have to insert them into the lineup. So I think when you have that much inconsistency relative to people knowing one another, it's kind of hard to do a whole lot. But the mere fact that we saw, and that I have seen a couple of plays in particular that I haven't seen in 5 years, it told me that there is some soul searching going on. There is some deep conversation happening about putting these guys in positions to do something that they do very, very well. And then also do things that they do very well, but aren't so telling and predictable to the defense. So in order to do that, you have to put a play or two in that's different. You simply have to do it. And it's funny that you would notice that, AJ, and I happen to believe that is exactly what Sean McVay is doing. He's taking a close look at his personnel, looking at where they came from, looking at what they do well, and then instituting some changes in there to give a little bit more versatility to his overall offense. And that's a great observation. Thanks for letting us in that you're thinking that way, AJ. We do wonder sometimes if our football fans are paying attention to it and are thinking about it like we are. And we found out with a couple of guys, you being one of them, that you guys are noticing the details of
AJ, are you a Charger fan?
Not particularly a Charger fan, but I like to see him do well.
You're more of a Ram fan, but we're watching the Charger game tonight, and the Charger just pulled like you were just saying, a really different type of play. We haven't really seen them play much. They put a fullback at the 4th and inches on the 1 yard line, and they just scored a touchdown with Austin Eckler running off tackle on the weak side. And it was just a creative play. I mean, it's a short yardage play. I think Brandon Staley took this out of Bill Belichick's playbook, Jackie. And that's right there as a touchdown. It's what they needed.
Absolutely. And it was I don't think it was a surprise to anybody that Brandon Staley went for it on 4th down right there on the, inches away from scoring a touchdown. But I think one of the things that we have to continue to watch with this team in particular is that this team is coached by a guy who has galvanized his troops like very few other coaches I've seen over the past few years. I mean, when you got a group of guys, professional guys, you know, Keenan Allen and Mike Williams and all of these guys that have been around for a while, sitting there chomping at the bits to go for it on fourth down when they're backed up in their own territory. I mean, it says something about the way he has galvanized this team, and it says something about, you know, what kind of spirit they have to compete, man. And I think the spirit of a football team to compete is one of the things that I always watch for, because a lot of teams don't have that, Vince. It just does not prevail with a lot of clubs.
And I've watched this team, Jackie, with throughout all the hardship they've had this year. Brandon Staley has kept this team together and molded, and they have the right projection. They have the right attitude to, hey, we're just going to roll over and we're just going to come back stronger the next time. And they haven't given up.
They trust him. They trust
is great.
The guy.
And now they're 6-6. You know, they could be much better this year, but I think this game will catapult them into better things to come for this year.
This is a big game for them.
Yeah,
it's a big game, and it's not over. No, it's not over by a long shot.
No, that's true.
Because you know, they've got some weapons over there on the other side of the field in Miami. That's for sure. To Tyreek Hill, the cheetah, he could turn this game around in the blink of an eye. It depends on how they deploy him. So we're going to keep an eye on this game and just kind of look. There's some good coaching. One of the things, Vince, that I will share with you, AJ. Your name is AJ, correct?
Yeah.
One of the things that I would challenge you, and I always tell Vince about it, that I love looking at and looking for are coaching moments of brilliance, when people decide to make decisions in the heat of a closely contested game that makes a big you know, it gives him an opportunity to win the game. And so both these coaches, in my opinion, Vince, are very good and capable of making those type of decisions and adjustments to give themselves a chance to win. So I always enjoy watching those decisions.
Right. They really instill confidence in you, Jackie, I think, and that's important. Do you have another question, AJ, for us?
Yeah, you know, going to the coaching of the Chargers, is this make or break for Brandon Staley this year? If they don't make the playoffs, is that it?
Well,
I
you know,
so.
Sometimes we're on a short fuse, though, Jackie. Sometimes these coaches throughout the league, and you know, there's such a high demand placed on winning football and getting your team into the playoffs. And you know, the Chargers are trying to win their you know, the community here in Los Angeles, and they were originally from San Diego, so now they're here in Los Angeles, and you know, they're trying to be impressive, and I think they've got a lot of great talent on their team. They just haven't been able to put everything together. They've had some tough losses. I mean, they lose kind of in a strange way, but yes, I think in one way this, you know, each and every year you have to almost think, hey, this could be my last year. So it has to be a driving force for them to work overtime and continue to improve and continue to put different, you know, their play selection and their game plans together, so it continues to give their team the best chance to win. So,
and one last thing, Vince, you know, the players, we're always under the gun, because if we don't consistently perform, do our jobs, right, they will get someone else to do the job. And we see the turnover we have annually at the head coaching positions in particular. I mean, we look at 8 to 10 turnovers at the head coaching position. You know, it seems like every year. But one of the things, just to give you an idea of just how competitive the National Football League is, I want you to think about this. A.J. Brown, who's a wide receiver with Philadelphia, he got traded there. He wanted more money there in Tennessee, I believe it was, Vince.
That's
right.
He
wanted more money. They didn't pay him the money that they wanted, so they traded him. The general manager traded him, and they in turn paid him there in Philadelphia. And then he goes back and he plays against his old team, and he scores.
Eats them up.
He scores 2 touchdowns, and I don't know how many yards, but there was no one on the field capable of consistently keeping him covered. Right. And at the end of the game, the ownership fired the general manager that traded him.
Well, he was Tannehill's favorite target.
Absolutely. But the point that I'm making is that, you know, if I'm an owner of a football team and I'm sitting there and I'm watching a guy that I invested in and I was sold upon to draft high as Brown was drafted. And then when the contract came, everybody's paying people. Cooper got paid.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's getting paid, you know, who's deserving it. This young man deserved to get paid. He didn't get paid. They traded him away. He comes back. He burns his team. There's no one covering him. Not a soul. Not a soul covering him. And I got a feeling that the ownership of that team made the decision that day that they were going to fire him the next day, which is what happened. So this is a very competitive league, man. You can't be goofing around.
AJ, you're only as good as your last game, okay?
You can't be goofing around when you make those decisions.
That goes with the coaches too. So
absolutely.
I mean, everybody's they have a test every week, and you're graded each and every week, and hopefully you pass. So
absolutely.
And the grade is either you win or you lose. So
that's
it's either pass or fail. So.
That's right. And that's from the coaches,
going.
management, players. And Vince, we're more familiar with that as players.
Well, we want to thank AJ for calling.
Thanks a lot, AJ.
AJ, you have to join us again some other time.
Yeah, please do, AJ. Please do. There was some great questions. And one of the things that Vince and I, give us a thumbs up down there if you like what we're doing. One of the things that Vince and I said we wanted to get accomplished when we started this was that we wanted to engage with fans. We want to engage with people who know the game in particular, ask the kind of questions that you just asked.
Or write comments.
Or the right comments. Very good. Excellent. Any comment. So thanks a lot, AJ, and hopefully you'll join us again.
Yeah, thanks, Vince. Thanks, Jackie.
Thank you, AJ. All right. Happy holidays, buddy.
Well,
that's awesome, Jackie. We have a lot of callers that are really knowledgeable about football, and it's great to see because like you said, to interact with the fans, that's what it's all about, really, because we play the game to impress and to entertain our fans.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's why we like to play, and so it's football is a great sport, American sport, and we hope to think it's one of America's best sports.
I happen to be a little bit biased.
Yeah.
I happen to think it's the best sport in the world.
Well, obviously, Jack. Yeah, hey man, we love it. I mean,
Absolutely.
People love it. They turn out. Well, you can see Jared Goff here. We're looking at some of the highlight reels here at halftime at the Charger game, and he just threw that. That's the pass I was talking about, Jackie, about how deep he threw it. He threw the go route to his left, and it was beautifully done. And see, Carolina beats Seattle today with.
Now that was a surprise.
Oh my goodness,
it really was a surprise, and they dominated from start to finish. Vince, I didn't see any. I watched most of that game, and I never really saw a time.
How about this game, Jackie?
Oh, the 49. Oh my goodness,
Brock Purdy.
There was no way. You remember what I said about him?
You didn't think he was going to do good against Brady.
I felt that he would be on the sideline watching Tom Brady and thinking, how long is it going to be before I can play like this? And he never gave Tom Brady a thought, and he was dropping some dimes all over the place. And, one of the really interesting things about this guy is that he had great family support. His dad was in the stands, and he saw his son.
Teary eyes.
An underdog. His son is an underdog against Tom Brady. Play the way he did, and he was crying.
You know what was impressive, Jackie? He stood in the pocket a couple times and delivered the ball, taking the hit. And a lot of times you don't see that from young quarterbacks. I mean, this guy, and I was more impressed with his confidence, with his resourcefulness, that he was quick to make decisions, Jackie, as a young player. And of course, the coaching that he got, they brought him along beautifully. And he was performing in practice all year long, just sitting back, and Jimmy was having a decent year, and he gets his chance, and he's ready because he prepared from day one.
Yeah, and when I watched the 49ers, the way they use Deebo Sanders, for example, the versatility.
And he was hurt today.
He got hurt. Yeah. I know. Let's hope he's okay. Yeah. But when you look at Shanahan's offense and the diversity of his offense and the way he uses his weapons, your first thoughts. That's the reason why I picked Tampa. My first thoughts are this guy is not going to be able to master enough of this offense for it to be in full force to beat this team. It just isn't going to happen. But he must be a quick study. He must have gone in there and I didn't see it, but I'm sure that Kyle Shanahan minimized some of the stuff on the on the play call sheet to make sure that he was really playing his best football. And I didn't see any flaws. The guy was absolutely flawless just watching it.
Jackie, I don't know how much they minimized the playbook because they were multiple formations, multiple motions, different types of plays. Their defense played lights out. They held Tampa Bay to 7 points, which was pretty remarkable.
You felt that was going to happen.
Well, I thought so. And another reason, Jackie, I looked at Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay should have never won the week before. And they haven't been playing good football. They're nothing like they were, just like the Rams a couple years ago playing in the Super Bowl. So they just they've changed. Their offensive line is not the same. Their defense cannot stop the run. It's the San Francisco team is just too powerful and too good to be held back, and their quarterback just executed. He just followed the game plan.
It just seems like whoever you plug in there.
And Christian McCaffrey, you got in the back. You have Kittle. You've got great runners. You got good and Ayuk can come up with some big plays.
And it's almost unfair, Vince, because if you were to try to convince me somehow, between now and the day that I drop dead, that Kyle Shanahan's dad is not having a big input on what he's doing, that would never happen. You would never convince me of that. And so I'm impressed with the fact that generational wealth of knowledge is being passed down, and to have somebody like that to bounce things off of is pretty cool. And it's kind of cool to see Shanahan having the success that he's having.
Well, he's got a lot of great coaches with him too, Jackie. And it's just not the one guy. But it's the head coach's job to select the right kind of talent and the right kind of coaches to work with to get their game plan across to their players. And he's got a great coaching staff.
Yes, he does.
The
head coach.
We played him each and every year. Did you see that pass that Joey Burrow threw to Jamar Chase?
Right there.
That's the play.
Yes. That's the
hit him right in the hip.
Look, you see those two DBs, how close
right between them.
They were converging on the receiver, and the ball went right between them.
Jackie, it's a split-second decision, and it has to be done to perfection. And that play was. And here you see Josh Allen. This guy is just remarkable. But I mean, if I had a quarterback, I like to see him run sometimes and slide, but I don't want to see him go into that. But he's so big.
Vince, did you see the first touchdown that he scored today, Josh Allen?
No,
it was the play we ran with Eric Dickerson all the time. The play that Lamar Jackson,
46 gap
the play that Lamar Jackson runs in Baltimore.
Yeah, right.
46 and 40. It was 47 quarterback keep. That's how he scored his first touchdown. The guy weighs 240 pounds, Vince.
He's not afraid to run it.
He's not going to take the same physical pounding that a smaller man would take. How much did you weigh, Vince?
215, maybe.
I'm sorry.
He's 240 or 250.
I can still see you spitting up blood. After Ben Williams hit you up there in Buffalo, Vince.
Did you see Buffalo hit Mike White today? I was almost reflecting back when I got hit in the ribs.
Oh my goodness!
Same hit, Jack.
It happened twice. He got hit at least twice that.
In that cold weather that.
Oh man, that guy was running.
But he was wearing rib protectors. I wasn't wearing a rib protector.
That rib protector didn't do any good. That guy ran through the rib protector into the rib.
I have a funny story to tell you, because Joe Namath, when we played with him, remember when 1977 when he joined the team, I was a rookie.
Yeah, I was in my second year.
Yeah, he looked at me in the locker room, and we were getting ready to go on the field, and he says, Vince, you better get your your rib protector on. I go, I don't need that. Why would I need that? He says, you wait and see. You're gonna have to wear that pretty soon, man, sooner than later. And he was right. I didn't wear it till after that game.
Oh, you did?
No.
Well, I'm sure that Joe,
because I didn't think I was gonna get hit like that.
You bring up Joe Namath, and God bless him. I love Joe Namath. But Joe Namath, his first NFL start with the Rams was my first NFL start with the Rams. It was my second year. We went down to Lehman Bennett's team in Atlanta, and Jeff Merrill was playing the defensive end over me, and he would beat me, and he would stroke Joe, and then he would. When I say stroke, I mean boom. He blasted him after he beat me.
And those days you can hit the quarterback.
Yeah. So finally, I just made up my mind. I said, this guy's gonna beat me, but he ain't gonna get there first.
I'm gonna get it.
I must have got Joe hit about 5 to 8 times stroked in that game. It was kind of embarrassing.
That never happened again after that. That was
I
was
only in my second year.
Yeah,
nobody expected anything from me.
You gotta learn. You gotta get on the field and play live. And that's the only way to learn how to play the game.
That's right.
Well, Jackie, let's talk real quick here. But we're at during the Charger game, we're at halftime. But we got to talk about the New Orleans Saints this week. Got fined $550,000 for Cam Jordan faking an injury. Now,
it was so obvious.
Have you ever seen that before, or is it something that's deserved, or is it faked? I don't.
Okay, Vince.
What's your take on that?
They were just too obvious. It happens all the time. It's been
does?
happening. It's been happening for years. Come on, Vinny. It's been
Well,
happening
no.
for years.
Okay,
but
but
they
okay.
were too obvious. The guy's standing there perfectly well. He looks to the sideline. He sees the signal.
Yeah.
And then he catches a knee.
Yeah, he's a great player, Jackie. I've seen it happen right
he's a
before
captain.
in
He's a
preseason.
captain. So who are you going to give that responsibility to?
Okay,
you're
well,
going to give it to your captain,
well,
somebody who's on the know, not some youngster that doesn't know anything. You're going to get the guy who knows, and that he was.
That's true, but the point is, I've seen it happen in preseason, and the only reason why they'd have a guy go down like that is because they want to preserve him, and so nobody else would pick him up. Remember, they put him on injury reserve.
Oh yeah, we used to do that.
So okay, well,
we used to do that all the time.
It happens.
See guys out there flailing and everything,
yeah.
and they come over.
Well, if you got to call a timeout, there's one way to stopping the clock. I mean, it's up to the referee to discern if it's real. How do you tell if a guy's faking or he isn't? You can't.
Well, Vince, it was obvious. Did you look at it?
No, I didn't see it.
I got it on my phone here. I'm going to show you when we get done. But the guy is walking in perfect health. He looks up. He raises his brows. He looks up and gets the information. And then he goes. Come on, Vince. You can't do it like that.
Yeah, well,
at least start towards the sideline and stumble and stay down.
Oh boy. Well, not to change the subject, but we have to talk about the New England Patriots. You know, that was been my team for many years. My family came from New England, from Boston, and Bill Belichick is the GOAT. Okay, let's just face reality. I don't see any coach that's done what he's done in a career and win as many Super Bowls and championships as he has. But his team probably at this point, and they're last in the AFC East, Jackie. They probably won't make the playoffs. What happens at the end of this year then? There is some talk about him resigning or Kraft, you don't look, in my estimation, you cannot ever fire the GOAT. Okay. If he's going to leave, he's going to leave on his own terms and then head off into the sunset, or they'll regroup. They'll reinvest in their team and get them back to where they need to go. That's the way I see it. I don't know how you see it.
Well, Vince, I think that's pretty accurate what you're thinking. And Vince, I've been watching this football team very closely for at least the last 15 years, and even watched them before that, because I had a big problem with the Patriots when I thought that they were taping the Rams practices and they had an inside eye on what they were doing. You remember that whole Spygate thing? I had a problem with them, but over the last 15 years, I know a special guy on that football team who's having a great career because of the leadership in that organization. Now, this is my take on Bill Belichick. Like you said, Bill Belichick is the GOAT. No, I don't think he has won as many games as Don Shula, but he's moving towards that.
That's correct.
And if he doesn't, Don Shula didn't win as many championships as this guy has. Right. The type of coach that Bill Belichick has been, in my observation, has been the type of coach that expects men to be men, expect people to understand their jobs thoroughly. You say you want to be a professional football player, know your responsibility, and then don't let anybody down by not going and doing your job. This is character building coaching in my mind. This is not just some guy who is all about winning, in which he has been about, but he has come to the realization that he can win championships if he has disciplined men playing for him. And that's one of the things that I have seen young men grow up under him, become leaders under him, and even guys, Vince, that he didn't keep on his roster will go to other places, and they immediately, because of the way they conducted themselves, they immediately are installed as leaders at this new club.
Yes.
And this is something that was built by being under the leadership of Bill Belichick. Now, relative to them being 3 years and not going to the playoffs and all of that, obviously the fans are going to get on edge about it a little bit. But if anybody should have the opportunity to make a decision as to the football team is competitive.
Yes,
it's competitive. It's just not blowing people away. They're in games seemingly every week. They're in the games, and then it's a decision, a technique or something here and there that causes them to get off track. So until I see them just getting blown out and out coached, as long as this guy feels like he wants to coach, I'm going to leave Bill Belichick as my head coach. I might talk to him about changing. I might talk to him about possibly bringing in an offensive coordinator, bringing in a new guy to do this or that or the other. But I'm going to let Bill Belichick make most of the decisions. He was making them just fine when I wanted to win, and so I'm going to let him continue to do that.
Well, the other good thing is, Jackie, they've always had a great scouting department because they've always went out and recognized good talent. They've always got guys that they know that when they bring in, they're going to fit well in our system.
And they're going to do the job that they project them to do.
And it's such a mental game as we talk about. A lot of the things we talk about, design and innovation and trickery and what type of playbook do they have? What are they bringing to the table? It's so mental and it's an intellect that you have to have. But you're right. You have to be dedicated to your call, and you have to put the time and effort in. And you watch Tom Brady for years. He was the first one at practice, the last one to leave, always attentive, always learning the playbook. And then when they come back after winning the Super Bowl, yeah, we still have to get better. We still have to improve.
You say that all the time.
It's the same thing. It's like it's redundant. Every week after their press conference, they say the same thing because they don't ever take it for granted. They always want to keep winning. And that's the culture they built there. And I think it's so impressive. And I've seen your son do so many great things with that team, and everybody contributes to their team. And the way they do it is they do their job, the top of the level. They do it the best that anyone can do it.
Do your job. It's a simple model.
That's how it's done. It's a team game, and that's how you win. And I think a lot of coaches, younger coaches today, high school level, college level, I mean, if they're going to be successful, they'll read from that same playbook.
Vince, it's interesting. I know we're talking about what's going on in New England with the coach and all of that, but if you think about it, look at Sean McVay. Mm-hmm. Sean McVay is 37, 36 years old, right in there. Coaches. And one of the things that I appreciate about Sean McVay, and I think his players do, he'll always handle issues in-house, regardless of what those issues are with him.
Right.
And the other thing is he let the people on his franchise, on his organization that he is coaching, he let those guys know that he trusts them to be pros. He says often, how many times have you heard him say, the men in that locker room, I know the men in that locker room, and they're going to fix it. That's saying a lot. Mm-hmm. That's saying that you've invested your time and effort into not only getting the biggest, strongest, fastest guy, but that guy's got to have a mentality that's going to give you and your organization a chance to win. And I think that's one of the main reasons why Sean McVay has been as successful as he has as a young coach.
He really is, Jackie. He's taking the philosophy of great coaches and have employed those in his style and his culture with the Rams. For example, John Wooden, his pyramid of success, he has that entire pyramid sitting right there in the locker room. And the faith and confidence and the loyalty that they have within that organization, that's how they've been able to win game after game after game.
No doubt about it. No doubt.
And you're right. Nothing takes the place of hard work. It's work ethic. You have to pay the price, like Vince Lombardi said. If you don't pay the price, you're not going to win.
Absolutely.
And but that's what they do. And a lot of the teams now are very competitive, Jackie. They're all fairly even, and it's just a fine detail. It's a little thing here or there that makes the biggest difference. And I give a lot of these teams that have done well. I give them a lot of credit because of what they've done through their coaching staff.
Right. There's no doubt about it. And one last thing, Vince, for me, when I think about this great game, the National Football League, when I came into the league, you had to play 5 years to qualify for an NFL pension.
Right.
And then shortly after that, Vince, they lowered it to 4 years.
That's when we were there. Yeah, it was there
for you to qualify for an NFL pension. And now, Vince, if you play 3 years in one game, you qualify for an NFL pension. Now, why do you suppose? Just think about it. The glamour of this particular game and the number of quality football players that you can find anywhere in the country, at any position, anywhere in the country, is just so huge that the competition level has soared. They got guys that are sitting on the bench right now in most NFL clubs
Yeah.
that put in the right situation as stars at any position that they play. So it's a game that you and I are enjoying. We enjoyed it as players, and we were pretty good at what we did, but we're enjoying it now because we see so much talent. So many guys that are athletic and special at what they do, Vince.
Yeah.
I'm just blown away when
When
I
we
see
started
this guy.
playing, I never played football, never had a quarterback coach me. I'm sure you didn't have an offensive line coach you.
No,
now
no.
you can train some of these younger kids. You can train a high school kid.
I had a line coach. I always had a line coach.
Yeah.
But I just, I never would have.
But today it's so specific now.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Oh,
the
yeah.
specialty of each position, a receiver. I mean, you have running camps, you have weightlifting, you have
Yes.
strength camps.
Oh yeah.
It's so vast.
They have even come up with a way. I for the life of me, I will never agree with it.
Yeah.
But they have even come up with a way to get a young man to play if he's lucky, to play 17 straight games in the regular season without playing a snap of preparation in the preseason.
Now that's remarkable. I don't understand how they
Never
did that,
thought I
Jackie.
would ever see
No.
anything like that in my life.
Yeah.
And you know what, Vince? There's a lot of guys that are doing that are staying healthy, but there are a lot of injuries.
Yes.
And I'm not sold on that idea. They're doing it, but I'm not 100% sold on it because you have to prepare your body for the rigors.
Well,
of the
Jackie,
sport.
when we played years ago, we always played on just regular grass, natural grass. Now they play on artificial turf and in these indoor stadiums, and the surface is less. It's restrictive. I mean, with your body, at least the grass would give some with your joints, your knees, your ankles, your hips, and so now you're really. When you make a stop and you change direction, it's jolting.
It's jolting.
And if you get hit the wrong way, I mean, it could blow up a joint.
Whatever.
So,
Absolutely.
I mean, so it's really more imperative now to really get more practice in preseason and prepare yourself for the season.
And I think you agree.
Yeah,
we're in 100% agreement
I
on
do.
that.
Even though the season's 17 games now. I mean, before it was 14 at one time, then went to 16, and now it's 17.
17 games, more and more.
It's a long season.
And Vince, to echo what you just said about playing on that turf, I got my knee injury down in New Orleans on that turf.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that I always noticed about playing on artificial turf for me was that I was a whole lot more explosive.
Yeah. Faster.
I was quicker.
Yeah.
I was more sure-footed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But after those games, I was always more sore because the intensity of the collision that myself and my opponent were generating there was pretty fierce. And so that's the thing that I didn't like about it, but I always appreciated the traction. I always appreciated the footing,
Well, Jackie, you know what? There's so much to talk about each and every week.
We can
we
go
hope
on and on and on.
Yeah, I hope these viewers like it, or at least they comment. And if they want us to talk about something else, we will. We can even talk about food and wine or whatever you want to talk about. But I tell you what, when we look at this game, as we're filming live here on the OnPoint live stream, we're watching the Chargers and and you were right about Miami because they're trying to still take advantage of throwing the ball towards the middle of the field. But the Chargers game plan on defense is ready for the throw over the middle.
Absolutely.
They've blocked so many passes. A lot of them have fallen short of the receiver. Tua's having a difficult time throwing tonight. I think the Chargers
most of his
have
throws,
their ticket tonight.
A lot of his throws have been toward the middle of the field.
So, it's like it's always fun to see the coaches from my perspective, to see the way they game plan and how they're going to attack their opponent, offense and defense. And what we've seen with the Chargers tonight, we've seen Justin Herbert more on the roll, more changing the pocket. And I think that's a smart thing to do with this team. And they're moving the ball more consistently. The score should be even more lopsided than it is. It's 17-7 here in the third quarter. But they're moving formation around. I think their offensive line is playing better with them changing the pocket.
That's the reason. That's the primary reason why they have them rolling out and all.
Right, because it's very difficult.
Yeah,
you got to have a lot of talent up front. I'm just saying, and
to keep you in the pocket all day long.
Okay, because when they know where that quarterback's going to be, they already know the spot where they have to get to.
Absolutely.
To get to the.
They got the steps timed up. They know exactly where they want to get you on that outside shoulder of theirs, and then they can do just like this did to that young man right there.
See, that's why they got to get out of the pocket.
Yeah,
they got the sack.
Yeah. See, the first time they sit him in the pocket, he beats that inexperienced right tackle right there for
Yeah.
a sack, and it was a clean move. It was a clean move. Watch, you'll see him snatch his shoulders. He'll face the sideline. Watch him face the sideline, Vince. Right there when he starts to
That
face
spin.
right there when he faced the sideline, he gave this guy inside leverage on that spin, and he beat him with. Now that's the second time that move. Kyle Van Noy on the other side beat the left tackle with that exact same move because the tackles were drifting and they're facing the sideline way too soon.
Well, they called roughing the passer on that, Jackie. So,
I didn't see that.
the Chargers got the benefit of that. They'll get a first down, but. If they're going to run a lot of drop back passes, Jackie, do it on first down, which is almost as a running down.
Do you know why he was just penalized? That young man who got that sack,
He was hitting the head, wasn't he?
No,
he fell on it.
He landed on him with all of his weight.
How are you going to tackle the quarterback without landing on him?
He landed on.
What's he going to do
with all of his weight?
Okay, so he is
cannot
vertical.
You cannot lay on him.
He's vertical when he hits him. What's he supposed to fly over him?
He's supposed to avoid landing on him with all of his weight when he's clearly going down.
Well, he has nowhere to go.
He's supposed to throw his weight away from the quarterback's body. That's what he's supposed to do.
But how can you throw yourself away when you're vertical already?
Well,
you're already in flight.
It's got to be.
You got whatever goes up must come down, right, Jackie?
So, Vince, the way I see it and the way I understand it, you have to have it in your mind that if you get a clean shot on a quarterback like that and you're taking him down, it's got to be in your mind. This is it's a sure sack, but it's got to be a glancing blow. A glancing blow.
Yeah, very difficult to do. But they have to put these rules in place to try to protect these quarterbacks because when you got an old quarterback like me, bumps and bruises there. Aren't you achy a little now, Jackie?
Well, yeah, I do have my issues.
Yeah, you got your aches and pains going on, but hey,
But
glad to see you, Jackie. And this is a great game to watch, and we're glad everybody stay tuned and watches us here on OnPoint live stream.
It's been encouraging.
So next week we'll have to come back and maybe we'll have to travel to Green Bay and do the game from there. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
We'll see.
I think the Rams are hopefully with Baker Mayfield on a resurgence, the team is going to resurrect itself and pick up. Maybe Aaron Donald will come back.
Yes.
Maybe everybody will start getting healthy.
I'm looking forward to watching the remainder of the Rams season with Baker Mayfield, but I'm also interested to watch, Sean McVay. I mean, Sean McVay he's a perfect coach, got just enough ego to challenge the National Football League and all of its decision making with this thought. You had Baker Mayfield. You had Baker Mayfield. You had Baker
now
Mayfield.
I have him.
Now I haven't. Let's see who the best coach is.
Right. That's a good
so
thing.
I'm looking forward to watching that, and it's going to be interesting because it's probably going to give him a lot more juice, Sean McVay, to see this guy get going.
And it's so interesting to see the game plan he puts together with Baker Mayfield to attack Green Bay and see how he does it next week.
Vince, if you think about it, though, before we leave, if you think about it, with Baker Mayfield at the helm and Wolford as his backup, that game plan can be closer now
than Matt
tailored
Stafford,
to the quarterback position as opposed to the individuals than any other time. Because Matthew Stafford is a pocket passer.
Right.
The other kid is a
rollout.
Run around. Bryce is a movement read option type of guy.
Correct.
Who, by the way, I love what he does. I think they should trade him immediately while his value is there. But Wolford and Baker Mayfield have similar traits
similar quarterback. Yeah, I think you're right, and that's that'll be a good thing moving forward. And let's see that they do a great job. And so, Jackie, and for Jackie and Vince, we like to say to you all, happy holidays coming up, Merry Christmas, and hopefully you'll join us next week, right, Jackie?
Absolutely.
Well, tell the viewers goodbye, Jackie, for us tonight.
Goodbye, adios, amigos.
Ciao. We'll see you next week on OnPoint live stream.